All right. All right. How we let? Okay, yeah, we get the equal sign there. Stupid updates. Yeah, looks like we got numbers clicking away, flashing light. All right, yeah, we're live. All right. I'm Verde Arbusto, and this is the Allison update. You'll have to pardon the just consider it a visual effect of the shaking of the camera. I'm using the old one the stand that I had originally used when I first started. I was using my Samsung J3. So just consider that as part of the groovy effects. I'm in my mobile studio, um, and I need to give you the Allison update, which is the narrative on my relationship and the talk on relationships in general. Right. This is going from the micro to the macro. Right. This is kind of the alchemical process. So I'm supposed to be uh, you know, mentoring, but using my life as an example, if you will. I don't know. And I'm figuring this out. I've said before, I'm a volunteer here. I remember writing. I guess there was no pen per se, but constructing my contract, pre-incarnation contract, or the contract agreed to pre-incarnation. And so I remember picking courses, and I have this vague sense that my guides were like, you should slow down and take some other, courses that aren't so heavy duty. I can't remember exactly what the words were, but there was something in there like you should find some courses in there to enjoy, like, I don't know. I picked a rough row to hoe, as it were, apparently, and I thought it would be easy, right? And I'm like, what kind of advanced shithead was I to think like, yeah, the life you got now, this will be easy, or life here itself is easy, right? Who the fuck that has ever been here before would say, oh yeah, this will be easy? If I had been here before, I would have picked a much different life for myself. I'm may or mayhaps not. I don't know. This one's not over yet. Um, So I'm across from the Blackstone River, and they're doing construction on the bridge. There's a new bridge, and so I have the window rolled down a little. It's a very nice day outside today. It's Friday, June 2nd. Halfway through the year already. The June, June and July, the peak of the year. Um, so I gotta do before I ramble on. This is an Allison update. It's my companion, to be companion. All right. So I'm gonna give you the abstract. The paragraph, and then I'll explain more. I'll give you more. More detail, and background. I think I'll give you the whole story up to this point. You know, from the beginning. I think. Although I only have half an hour, so I'll have to keep it condensed. So where we're at is I'm doing this video. The purpose of doing this video is because I need help. Okay, so I need some support, some financial support from you all. I have for 3,000, at least 3,000 subs. So if everyone sent $5 or $1, that's a lot of money. That covers my expenses and then some. She's in the issue specifically is in she's in stuck at her apartment, and she needs transportation, a ride, a taxi ride or whatever to the airport, which is like $50. Right now, I have spent my whole check for the week working on the air flight portion of that. And on top of it, I still have to pick her up in Boston, which is an hour away. So I need to put gas in my car. So at least $100, all said, is what I need from the universe for this particular figuring out. And I need it like tonight, soon, like real soon, right? Um, so, uh, So that, in a nutshell, we're looking to get her from the uh, from the apartment to the airline. Okay. All right. So I'll give you the expanded before I go way back. I'll give you the update to where I was the last video, and then I think, and if I had music, that would be the time. But I think what I'll do is pause it and have a smoke, and I will say, hey, now's the time to pause. As is my want. And 5 minutes. I think I'm at 5 minutes. And everyone that knows me knows I watch the time to make, I just watch the time. My timing is impeccable for a reason. It takes work. And it takes work to live in 4D all the time, upper, lower 4D. So anyway, where we were at when I made the last two videos was that I got stood up, so to speak, right? She never made it to the airport because her grandmother that she's living with, it's just her and her grandmother living together in the parents' house, and the folks passed on 5 years ago. All right, so she and grandma were living together, and they're mutual support. Like, they don't have anyone else. So I am trying to get her here to me because I believe this is from the universe, right? I asked. I have no will of my own, right? And my will is faulty. My will is damaged. We're running off the cliff with my will. So I ask everything I got to know from the universe. Give me a sign. And I told her same thing, we've been talking for about 5 years now, right? So it's like, all right, if it's going to be a thing, I got to move on it, right? And so that's why I'm also asking for help from you guys, from the universe, for help with this, so we can move on to the next phase, right? Got to get her to the airport, right? We're still working on the airline ticket, getting her the airline ticket, which is going to happen Monday. Hopefully, everything has to clear PayPal. We're going through PayPal. So that was part of what the issue was, that she had an airline ticket. Instead of getting on the flight, she went to the hospital spend time with the grandmother. I can't blame her for that. And I would be a shit to have said, it's either her or me, right? I can't do that. So you trust the universe, because I haven't met the grandma, but I'm sure she's a wonderful person, right? I can't wish that on her, that's awful. And I don't want that. I wouldn't want that happening to me. So, all right. So, a lot of times the airlines understand these things, and all right, you just pay the fee, whatever, like they'll take the base of the ticket and just move it to some other date. We'll call it a conveyance fee. All right. So in this case, the neighbor who's helping, I don't know anything about the neighbor. I just know the neighbor is friends and the neighbor's helping, right? And I believe this is a widower or someone that's married, and the name is a man's name, but the person who's helping is a woman, right? The husband. That's fine. This is all sketchy. It's all suspect in your mind. That's fine. I know it's all fine. That's fine. It's all good. It's all good. Your fears may very well be well-founded, right? I'm not going to poo-poo or discount anyone's fears in this or anyone's concerns, right? But once again, I go to, God, like, help me out, because I got nothing here. And you may be of the opinions, oh, you got a lot. No, I got nothing. I got nothing, right? I got nothing. But yeah, no, nothing. I got nothing, right? It's all my guides, 100%. It's all 99.7% my guides. The rest is me. The 0.3 is me. I am the 0.3. I think it's a little quieter over there. All right. So, and again, the shaking is for visual effect. I don't want to make it boring, but just having a video of me just sitting here talking with doing the hand things, right? No. The shaking is part of the dynamic effect of the video. Just remember this. So if you comment on the shaking of the video, I'll say it's a dynamic artistic effect. she had to spend time with the grandmother. It was, and I was upset, right, overall, because the part of what it was, the grandmother was all right. Eventually, it was all right, and the blood pressure calmed down, and I was hoping, that was something that was minor enough. But what it suggested to me is that the grandmother really was not okay with the daughter leaving and then leaving her by herself, right? Or the granddaughter. So at that point, they made a call to a relative in Germany. They have family in Germany. The grandmother's never been there, but they have family, right? So Cousin Mary came up for a few days, packed up grandma, about not a week, but a little under a week, and packed up grandma, and now they've left. The grandmother and the cousin have left, and my companion, who I love, she's in Georgia by herself, right? And she's going to be in Georgia by herself indefinitely unless I can get her here. So that's where you guys come in. That's where I need the help from you to help get her up here, right? And I don't have anyone, right? I have you guys, right? Literally, I don't have anyone else in my life that's meaningful. And we've talked about, relationships from the perspective of a soul mate and a twin flame, right? And I threw that out to people, and I threw that out as a legitimate question, and I got back some answers. I think Trish, an Arizona Raven, the two of them gave me feedback, and there was some other feedback. And I've been talking with other people about this and what's what, and how do you know? And so that's sort of what my, one of the things that I've been working on conceptually with this is, are they just two different names of the same thing? Right? That's possible. What would the difference be if they're not, right? Or the similarities, all right? Like they both feel like they're a perfect fit, and they, one, it can be easily confused one for the other, right? So is Allison my flame, my twin flame, or is she a soulmate, right? So I'll just say this really quick, all right, because this is part of the update, the nutshell update. We had talked about this, and I'm labeling her as a twin flame, right? I'm a flame, right? Just obviously. What's the difference, right? Well, I've said this before, I'll say it again. The humans are sparks, soul sparks, a soul shard, and we can forget that we're reflections off of the original, where there's like one soul overall. But in order for God to experience, something other than God, there becomes this individuality necessary in a distilling down, if you will. Maybe, I'm not sure that is the right kind of word. That's an alchemical kind of phrase, but there's like a prism, maybe, where you see it's broken into striations of the rainbow, different light. Perhaps the difference, you see water and oil separating, the cream rising to the top of the milk, like these kind of things, refining the process. And it's difficult to think of humanity as a refinement of spirit, but that's because it's not us in the earth birth suit form, right? As the blank slate under the veil, the lump of clay, human clay, you're born as the planet, kind of ignorant to anything higher, anything spiritual. So this is a world of forms. You come into a form, you occupy a form, and part of the experience here is using and understanding, working with and manipulating like sacred geometry, and then sacred geometry, like learning kind of this. So in the human form, that's the first thing, is growing out of a form, right? And your spirit ascending out of that form into its lightness. So a lot of individuals are still working with, stuck on the physical plane, which is the world of forms. And there are spiritual forms, whereas it's concerned with the footprint of the material, right? The material world is all about the interconnection and interworking of these forms, the vibration of materials. And some things work together better than others, right? It's important to understand that. So this finding out of the form that matches you on a number of different emotional, spiritual, etheric, astral levels, right? The first 5, right? Emotional, physical, emotional, spiritual, astral, and etheric, right? So those first 5, those are your first 5 dimensions. Those are the first 5 dimensions. Now, not all humans are able to wrap their heads around what I just said, all right? You, a person, needs to find the right containment going from the physical to the emotional to the spiritual, wrapping their head around the fact that the spiritual and the emotional are interconnected. Your attitude, it means a lot. Your attitude may not keep you from ascension, but why do you have a bad attitude, right? Moving on. You call it ascension, I call it moving on, thank God. Right? I call it that. Moving on, thank God. Oh, finally, we're done. That's how I phrase it. What you call ascension, maybe not you, but a lot of you all. Not you. When I say you, I probably don't mean you specifically watching this that grokked on what I just said. Jacqueline, some of you others, Trish, Arizona, Pam, the advanced ones of you, right? The ones I probably told you that you're advanced. Yeah, you. I'm talking about you. But other than that, the rest of you. So I don't mean you when I say you. The rest of you. And there's more that I haven't named, obviously. So, where was I? Hold on. Let me. Right. So the world of forms. So breaking apart from those forms and moving into the astral and etheric, and then wherever else. So the first part is understanding the physical. It's, not just the physical, but it's a footprint of the other, bandwidths. Not sure what the word is. So, so the soulmate is still working through a lot of damage, a lot of hurt, a lot of disconnect, right? A lot of alienation, a lot of isolation, selfish behavior, predatorial behavior, predative, dominator, narcissistic behavior, like all this kind of stuff, exclusionary kind of stuff. And not that the word inclusionary these days is that great, but exclusionary can often be damaging, because what are you excluding, right? All right. So that's the thing of knowing, what the soulmate path is, knowing that, it's like the difference, almost like you can see this difference between the the fraction, the American Western fractions, and the metric system, right? Somewhere along there, they have ones that are close. Some are almost exactly spot on, and others are like, yeah, no, this is way off, And so it's sort of the difference between those two paradigms, I think. The soul, the soul incarnation versus the light incarnation. And I'm a light. And a lot of times the lights have fixed their damage and they shine. And a lot of women, I've talked about this, a lot of women who are in their advanced, they're in the light category, the bearers, bringers of light, they hook up with someone who seems to be a soulmate, and a lot of it is good and it seems to go well for a while, but it's a different paradigm. You're on a different belief thing. I don't even know what to call it. It's a huge difference. And the person who you thought was maybe a spiritual mentor, a spiritual guru, someone that you could develop a spiritual practice with, your light shines their, your light shines on their character defects, we'll say, their perhaps greed, their lower grabbing for form, as if it's the conquest itself, or the quest is the spiritual pursuit. And it's, the thing that's gotten is just, it's just a, it's just and they mentally just brush it off. That's the soul mate. It's part of the karmic arrangement that you have to work through. And it's not necessarily that, like, you can be at like a soulmate stage with someone and then both move on together, right? But if one's a light, the other has to be a light as well, not a mate. I work with tools, and I think of, when you have two pieces of wood, a dovetail fitting together, a mate, two socks, like two things like that, a mate, two earrings, right? Like, that's the vision that they gave me, is your mate has to fit your form. But some people have escaped from form, and they're, working on the formlessness of the next phase of human development here, right? And so it says in the Bible, "Be ye not unequally yoked." I think, don't be unequally yoked. Do be with your equal, and it gives you an example. One ox is stronger than the other. It'll pull that, and then you'll wind up moving in a direction, but you'll wind up not moving in a straight line. You'll wind up moving, like at an arc, because the other one, the weaker one, can't keep up with the stronger ox. And that's what happens. And a lot of times that people don't. The difference between negative and between negative and positive alignment is that negative alignment is that you're trying to get your lights from someone else, right? You're trying to get your energy filled from other people through the power of personality. As opposed to the positive person knows that there's a God, knows that there's something else, and they go right to the source and they fill their vessel right from source, right? So that's part of the difference between the soulmate construct and the light, bearer of light construct. And just because something sounds good from human standards doesn't mean it's necessary for your development, or it's something preferable or beneficial, or it's something you can use, or it's something that applies to you, right? And that's just all of pretty much everything with the Schumann resonances and the atmospheric electromagnetics, that, yeah, they're there for the Earth, for the planet. If you can, or how you can use them, is up to you. But don't expect that the planet is going to automatically do this for you when you don't know your part, how to actually tap into that energy. It may actually be that it's not helping you and it's detrimental to you because you are not of that alignment and you're not doing the work you need to plug into that, that power. Anyway, all right. So, so just to wrap this up real quick, because I'm almost out of time. Allison, my companion, is definitely a flame.